Okay, so today's section of notes, are on the substitution method once again, and we'll kind of just go over it like we're doing it from the ground up again. So we know we can find the solution to a system of equations by substitution or graph and check now. Graph and check is where we graph it and then we check where the solution is. This method is called substitution. What we're doing here is we're trying to find the solution by using substitution. We take what we know about the variable and we substitute that in. You don't need to write that top part, just write this bottom part and make sure you write the example down. Okay? So we're taking what we do know and we're substituting it into one of the equations. So it says, can you substitute y equals 5 into the equation below? So we know that y is equal to 5. Can we put it into this equation? Well, if we do, we'd have, instead of y, we'd have 5 here. So we'd have 9 plus 5 for x. So we'd have x equals 14. If we have the two green circles there, right, we have the x value, we have the y value, can we write them as a point? Well, we write the x first, 14, and then the y second, 5. So this would be our final answer. Okay, so take a look at this system by substitution. Again, we'll go in green. We'll talk about what y is equal to. Y is equal to 11. So instead of y, what could we write? Because they're equal. They're exactly the same. Well, instead of y, we could write 11. So here, we're going to put the 11. We're going to rewrite that equation. X equals 2. And remember, there's automatically a times here, right? Automatically a times. And then we're putting in 11. So x is equal to 22. When we multiply that out. So that's the answer there. So now as we put it as a point, we say it's 22, comma, 11. And that's our solution. So substitution becomes more difficult as time goes on. And this is the type of problem we've been talking about already. It gets even tougher than this, but this is just a pretty good introductory for where we need to go. So let's talk about this. We have y equals 2. So we could take 2 instead of y and we could put it here. Okay, so let's see what happens. If y equals 2, then we have this, correct? So let's look at this. We had x plus 4 equals y plus 1. X plus 4 equals, well, y is now 2. So in other words, that 2 went here, and so it's x plus 4 equals 2 plus 1. Let's do the arithmetic there. 2 plus 1 is 3, right? So then x plus 4 would equal 3. So far, so good. Subtract 4 from both sides. So this is when we're basically saying, right, we subtract 4, right? This cancels out. We get x equals, well, as we do 3 minus 4, we get negative 1. So we have what x equals. We have what y equals. So if we have what x equals, we have what y equals. We write the answer here, the x first and the y second, negative 1, comma 2. Now we're going to solve a system that's a little more difficult. This is more like what your homework was looking like yesterday. Let's take a look. So we have y equals some expression. It's not just a number, it's like a bunch of things, right? So we know that y equals x plus 4. I'm taking this right from here, okay? And also we know that 2x plus y equals 7, okay? So we have that. So let's take what y equals. We know that y equals x plus 4. This is what y equals. And let's put it in for y in the second equation. All right, so now we have 2x plus whatever y is equals 7. I usually put parentheses, and then I put exactly what y is. Well, y is x plus 4. Y is, right, x plus 4. Y equals x plus 4. So I put that instead of y here. These parentheses don't need to be here because this is kind of like a one distributive property. So it's really just 2x plus 4 equals 7. And then this is a 1x, right? So that's 3x plus 4 equals 7. How do we solve this one? Well, we draw our line down the middle. We subtract 4 from both sides because we want to get x alone now. That cancels. We have 3x equals 7 minus 4. That's 3. And then to get x alone, we know this is a multiply, so we divide by 3. And we divide by 3 on both sides. X equals 1. Okay, this is good. However, that's not our final answer because we have x equals 1, but we don't know what y is. So where could we take this, this information, where could we use it? Well, we could go back up here and say, instead of x here, why don't we write 1? So let's rewrite that equation. Y equals x plus 4, right? But now we're not going to write x, we're going to write 1. Because that's what x is. So y equals 1 plus 4, right? Y equals 1 plus 4, so y equals 5. At this point, we have both x and y, so we can write them as a point. X is 1, y is 5. This is our solution to the system. And if we had used the graph and check method, which we didn't, but if we had, we would have found the two lines intersected at this point. So here is a nice breakdown of all of your steps to solving by substitution. You solve one of the equations for either x or y. Now this says one of for either. You have some options. So you could pick top equation, bottom equation. You could pick x or y in either one. This one's already solved, y equals, right? So it's already solved for y. Y is all by itself. So that step 1 is done in that case. Now we need to substitute that answer, which was this stuff, in for y, right? Into the other equation. So let's rewrite the other equation, x plus y, right? But I'm not going to write y. I'm going to write exactly what y is. And we've underlined it in green. This is what y is. Y is that, right? Y is this. So now we have x plus whatever y is, which is the stuff. And we're going to drop the parentheses because, again, it's a 1 distributed. And there's a plus sign here. So this is basically saying now we have 3x plus 4 because I added this to this. And then the 4 just stayed. Equals 13. Okay, good. So we've done this. We are now solving this equation for x or y. That's what we're doing right now. So to get x alone, we minus 4. We minus 4. We have 3x equals 9. 13 minus 4 is 9. Divide by 3. Divide by 3. X equals 3. So that's done now. And now we have to take the answer from step 3, which is this, and substitute it into the equation from step 1. Well, the equation from step 1 was this one right here. So we're going to take that, we're going to put it into that equation. So it's y equals 2 times x plus 4. Well, x was 3, right? X is 3. So it's 2 times 3. 2 times x, which is 3, plus 4. So now we have y equals, multiply, we get 6 plus 4, so y is equal to 10. Okay, so that's done. And we solved. We just did that. The optional part sometimes is to check the answer. In this case, we're just going to write the answer as a point, which wasn't listed out nicely, but we want to always write it as a point, 3, 10. This is my x, this is my y, this is my final solution, okay? Can put a box around it so that we know this is the final solution, okay? Okay, lastly, remember, answer should be a point written in XY format, right? For these problems, you must find X and Y. A lot of people don't realize that. So let's solve a couple more systems. I want you to try to solve this system on your own. So we're just going to stop for a second. I'm going to let you try and solve it. And then we'll solve the bottom system together. So I'm going to let you have a second to try and solve this system, see what you can come up with, okay? Alright, so hopefully you had a second to try that out. I'm thinking the smartest thing here is that you notice that this is what x is equal to, right? So x is this, basically. X is that, equals means is. So let's take x out and write 2y minus 3. Okay, and then we're going to have plus 2y equals 21. So what happened to this equation? I took x out and I put in what x was equal to, which is this stuff. We can drop the parentheses because we don't have any number here or here right next to the parentheses. So in this case, we'll drop them, and we'll have now 2y minus 3 plus 2y equals 21. Well, that's going to be 4y, because we're going to combine like terms, minus 3 equals 21. So we combine the 2 and the 2 to get 4. If we put our line down the middle, we add 3 to both sides to cancel out the negative 3. We get 4y is equal to 21 plus 3. Then we divide by 4 on both sides, left and right. 24 divided by 4, that is 6. So y is equal to 6. This is half our answer. Now what I think the smartest thing to do is to take this answer and put it here, okay? And at this point, we've already kind of talked about this, so we've already done this, so let's erase that. It's not really relevant anymore. Let's put that y equals 6 there. So let's rewrite that equation that I'm pointing to with my arrow. X equals 2 times y minus 3. What do we say y was? Well, we said y was 6. So x equals 12 minus 3. Right? X equals 12 minus 3. So then 12 minus 3 is 9. So x equals 9. So our solution to this, our final answer, should be 9, 6. Okay, let's box it. 9, 6. There's our answer. Now how do we check it? That's the big question. Well, we rewrite the top equation, but every time we see x, right? Every time we see x, we write the 9, and every time we see y, we write the 6. So let's start it off. 9 equals 2 times y, which is 6, minus 3. So 9 equals 12 minus 3. That would mean that 9 equals 9. That's good. Okay, so I slid all that over so we just have a little bit of space here, and we can try the second equation right here. So every time I see x, I'm going to write 9, and then I'm going to put, every time I see y, I'm going to write 6. That should equal 21. So x plus 2y equals 21. X, which is 9, plus 2y, which is 6, equals 21. Of course, there's a multiply here. So that's 9 plus 12 equals 21. 9 plus 12 is 21, so 21 equals 21. 2 check marks. So this means that this solution is right. So hopefully you came up with that. Let's take a look at the second one. What do we got going on here? Looks like we have y minus 4 equals negative 3x. X plus 5y equals 6. We can pick either x or y to solve for in either equation. And I'm thinking that I'm just going to solve for y in the top equation. So I'm going to rewrite the top equation, but I'm going to get y alone. That's the first step to getting through this. So how do we get y alone? Well, we have to add 4. And we have to add 4. Can we combine these? No, we cannot. So that's negative 3x plus 4. And this is basically one step done. So that's the new top equation. Let's deal with the bottom equation now. We're going to rewrite the bottom equation, but however, when we see y, we are not going to write y. We're going to write exactly what y equals. Well, y equals negative 3x plus 4. Notice. So that basically went here. And now we just go ahead and solve. So we have x plus, this is a distribute, so negative 15x plus 20 equals 6. This is 1x, and this is a negative 15x, so that's a negative 14x plus 20 equals 6. We're going to have to subtract 20 from both sides. Subtract 20 from both sides. Okay, we're getting somewhere. We're going to now have negative 14x is equal to negative 14. That's good, because I think when I divide, that's going to work out pretty nicely. So we divide by negative 14 and by negative 14. X is equal to negative divided by negative, positive. So x equals 1. Now the smart thing to do here is remember that first step. When we finished our first step, we take this and we put it into that equation. So we rewrite y equals negative 3 times, right? It's times something, but it's x, which is 1 in this case. Well, we'll use green because that's what the arrow was. Okay, so there's the 1 from here. It comes up and it goes in for x. Otherwise, that whole equation is the same. Now we just solve. Y equals negative 3 plus 4, so y also equals 1. So we have 1 comma 1 for our solution. And we will put it in a box. This is our solution. Now we need to check that. So let's go ahead and check the equation. Well, we know our solution is 1, 1. We can barely see it, but it's just there. Okay, so let's write 1 every time we see x, and we'll write 1 every time we see y. 1 minus 4 equals negative 3 times 1. So that's negative 3 equals negative 3, and that's good. Alright, and then on the bottom equation it was 1 plus 5 times 1 equals 6. So that's 1 plus 5 equals 6, which means that 6 would equal 6, so that's a check. So that means this answer is correct. So that is solving by substitution and checking your answer. Okay, they take a little time, so make sure that you carve out plenty of time to do your homework tonight.